if you're going to try to save the show at this point, who better to do it than Russell T Davies and David Tennant? Well, that clip didn't age very well, did it? Let's get into it. Alright legends, welcome along to Here's Rodder's Reviews. I haven't uploaded on this channel for quite a bit because, in all honesty, I haven't been watching anything since pretty much nothing since the 60th anniversary specials of Doctor Who landed. And as I said, I was stupidly excited to see Russell T Davies and David Tennant both coming back as the Doctor and showrunner, of course, and putting the whole thing back on track after the disaster that Chibnall left behind him. Unfortunately, that's not what we got. For 3 episodes that were billed as specials, there wasn't much special about them in my mind. They were very, very mediocre. The 3 episodes, there was up points in the episodes, don't get me wrong, but the overall feel of the 3 episodes were like almost filler episodes that you would get mid-season and your average run of a Doctor Who series. So didn't blow me out of the water in a major way. It was nice to see David Tennant back, don't get me wrong, but overall the stories throughout the 3 of them, I did enjoy the better part of the Star Beast was very good, but that was adapted from a comic strip of which Doctor was it? I'm trying to recall this from memory here. I think it was Tom Baker's Doctor. The Star Beast was a comic strip of him at one point, updated and added with new stuff for the modern age. A lot of the political stuff that we are getting these days squeezed in there. Not a bad episode. After that we had The Wild Blue Yonder, where you had Tennant and Catherine Tate on their own off on a little mission, which was something that you were really dying to see, these two just interacting on a one-on-one level. But it didn't break any major new ground. And Tennant's Doctor, the 14th Doctor here, you didn't even get to really scratch the surface of this Doctor. He was just there, and then, just fuller episodes, fuller Doctor. That's exactly how I feel about Tennant's 14th Doctor. Then of course we get to the 3rd special, The Giggle. A lot of good stuff in this episode. And what is his face? I can never remember that man's name. Neil Patrick Harris, fantastic as a toy maker. The interactions between him and Tennant were fantastic, really good. A lot of good material there that felt like classic Doctor Who, that we're getting back into the good stuff again, and a nice upbeat for me in this one here. We're finally, after Chibnall's run of I said in previous videos that I felt that his was just mismatched. There's a lot of stuff happening with no in-episode explanation for anything. We were getting more of a solid story in these 3 episodes. But overall, my opinion of the specials, right up to the Christmas special. Now, Doctor Who has been the only show so far that has actually managed to make me jump out of episodes. A lot of stuff in Chibnall's era with Whittaker's Doctor fell out, jumped out of episodes and that there. And again, the Christmas special didn't make it through the first 20 minutes of that. For me, if you want a masterclass on how to actually completely torpedo a franchise, look at these 3 specials on Doctor Who. Now, it's got nothing to do with the the political stuff that was strong-armed in there. There's a lot of that. I'm not even going to cover that. I'm not even going to get into that. It's not an argument I want to be a part of. It is what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, for me, storytelling, stupid decisions been made that again, and no in the episode explanation for everything. For me, what destroyed it wasn't what they did with the 14th Doctor, what they did with Tennant and whatnot. It was actually the Children in Need special before these three so-called specials started to air. You had that little story where we get the first look at David Tennant as the 14th Doctor, where he crash lands the TARDIS in the middle of the Dalek homeworld, Genesis of the Daleks. He actually mentions it by name in the episode itself, or the little special itself, and then clears off, and it's very tongue-in-cheek. It was nice to, and the first time I watched it, really did enjoy it, because for a change, you felt it was that real sort of tongue-in-cheek, not taking itself too seriously, sort of fun little episode that was typical of Russell T Davies, and those little stories. It felt great to have that sort of thing again. Tennant being there, did his thing, wrecked the Dalek, gave the guy the plunger, off he went. But we had Davros in that episode, completely changed. It's not the Davros we know now. In first viewing, I didn't even let it kind of fizz on me until I was thinking about Genesis of the Daleks. Great story from back in the day. I actually went back and had a look at it again, and that isn't the Davros that was in the Genesis of the Daleks. Now, you could make the argument that this was before he had his accident and whatnot that put him into his life support machine. But again, no in the episode explanation. So it turns out Russell T and his team decided that they felt that it was offensive to anybody in a wheelchair to have an evil character. But I have seen videos online since that, and there's actual people with disabilities that have been in wheelchairs lifelong, and they're like, you know what, none of us find Davros in any way offensive, because we're in a wheelchair, he's in a wheelchair. It doesn't even play into it. So he's making decisions based on not wanting to hurt people's feelings and whatnot. So he's changing everything. For me, that's the sort of stuff that's destroying it for me. It's just, it's a time now in creation where people are just playing it safe now because they're afraid of hurting people's feelings, and it's not going to do us any favours in the long run. It's definitely not going to do any favours for Doctor Who in the long run. So in my mind, that's fair enough if that's his decision to make that change, but to put no explanation into the actual series as to why he's doing things, falling down the path of Chibnall again, making decisions and making no an episode explanation for any of it. For me, what's the next step here? When we know Disney's got money involved in Doctor Who now, and we don't want to be offensive to anybody with a disability now, so we're going to change Davros. Who's next? Are they going to retcon Darth Vader, remove him from the iconic suit? You know, change that whole fighting Mustafar into, Anakin Skywalker just got a black eye and decided to become bad then, but we can't put him into the life support system, which is exactly what Darth Vader's suit is, and that's exactly what the travel machine Davros uses. As it's a life support system for him as well, because he's mutating, he's had an accident, he's been badly injured and whatnot. So if you change him from that, does that not mean that you have to change the Daleks so that they aren't mutating, so that they didn't need the travel machines? Because that's what they are. The casing of a Dalek is a travel machine for the creature inside it, because it's mutated. It can only survive with this. It is what it is. It's making no sense whatsoever. So getting to the new Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa, I would be, if I was him, Now, I'm not going to say I don't like his Doctor, because I haven't seen enough of him as the Doctor, but if I was him, I would be absolutely livid at what they've done and the introduction of his Doctor. By generation, the worst idea since the Twilight Saga. If I was him and I read the script for the giggle and how he was brought into it, by generation means the Doctor doesn't regenerate. He splits in half. So the half that's dying, and again, doesn't explain properly how this half hasn't died, because at least in regeneration, the body renews itself. But in this one here, it splits itself in half as well as renews itself. So does it have the energy to keep Tennant alive and whatnot? It doesn't make sense to me. Plus the fact that now you've got two Doctors running around. And another thing that wasn't explained by Russell T Davies in the episode is this doesn't just happen to this version of the Doctor. It happened retroactively to all the prior versions of the Doctor. So everything that you've seen up to this point through the classic series of the Doctor regenerating and the next Doctor is now all changed. They both split from each other. So every incarnation of the Doctor up to this point is still alive somewhere in time. Well, it's the exact same moment in time. When you get into time travel, technically they're all alive at some point, because you can just travel back and meet them again. But the fact that none of them have died at this point just doesn't make any sense. And again, this is something that he shared outside of an episode on a podcast. It almost seems like showrunners, directors and everything these days want to have that little bit of limelight in themselves. So there's mediocre writing so they can get themselves on camera to explain what they're doing. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. Another example of that would be Palpatine's return in Star Wars. As far as I know, there is no on-screen reference to how he survived. And that they're just rendered everything that Anakin Skywalker did in episodes 1 through 6 completely null and void. So it is what it is. It's a disaster. Again, if I was Shooty Gatwa, I'm like, does the BBC and Disney actually have any real faith in Doctor Who and me being the new Doctor moving forward? Now, for me, it seems very calculated at this point, because there was a whole thing with trying to get schedule and whatnot at the very beginning. So technically, Shooty Gatwa's first episode as the Doctor in a series isn't aired at this point. Of course, we've got the Christmas special. Can't comment on that because I couldn't make it through it. Again, there's nothing to do with him as the Doctor, but just the bad storytelling at this point. But again, if I was him and I read that script and it's like, okay, the Doctor doesn't regenerate this time, I bi-generate. So there's me as the new Doctor, and there's David Tennant as the 14th Doctor, both alive at the same time. So Shooty Gatwa goes off to do a series, and Tennant's Doctor retires and lives with Donna and her family. We have 2 TARDISes as well at this point, which was a stupid decision as well. Which means you've got Tennant's Doctor sitting in the background, Tennant's 14th Doctor sitting in the background with his own TARDIS, and Shooty Gatwa goes off to do his run in his 2 series at this point. We're guaranteed 2 seasons worth, or 2 series worth of Doctor Who, whatever you want to call them. They're very calculated in what they've done there. They're getting ahead of themselves. But genuinely, hand and heart, if I was that man, and it's got nothing to do with who he is, a sexuality or anything like that there, a skin colour, I've got no problem with any of that. But if I was him, I'd be like, okay, if you have faith in me to take on the role as a Doctor, why the hell have you got David Tennant over here on standby? If this doesn't work out, you'll just, okay, these 2 seasons didn't pan out the way we wanted it to. we'll bring the old Doctor in from the sidelines again, and people were like, although they would never bring a previous Doctor back to save the show. Well, that's exactly what they did with the free specials for the 60th anniversary, which were a complete letdown. If you look back at the special they did for the 50th anniversary, at least that felt like a big time event. These just felt like fillers. For me, I'm going to stick to the classic stuff for a while. I will jump in once in a while to see how this new Doctor is doing, but I don't know. I don't have faith that the show can survive what Russell T is trying to do with it. Again, I was over the moon here, and he was coming back, because if anybody could see the show, he could do it. And you've got that clip at the start of this video to see that I said that way back in November 2022. But so far, completely misfired. And even David Tennant, I'm very, very let down that he agreed to do these specials, seeing where they're going to go with it. But yeah, I miss the days whenever an actor would fight for the character that they play and keep that character the way it should be. I think it was John Pertwee. I think I can remember reading something about him. It's going way, way back. He was a heavy smoker when he wasn't on camera, and he did his best. Like, two of the biggest roles he had was playing Doctor Who, of course, and Wurzel Gummidge. So, two kid-friendly shows, and he was very much aware of this. So he always made sure to try not to be seen in public smoking a cigarette, because he wanted to keep the image of the character pure and being a good role model towards children, which I feel at this point Doctor Who's completely lost. So I don't have a lot of faith in the show moving forward, and I'm just going to stick to the classic shows here for now. From now on, I'm having a great time back watching the original run here. Hopefully get a few more videos done on it. But as I say, this 60th anniversary come round, waiting for the better part of 2 years to sit down and enjoy it, see Tennant back in the role, and was completely let down by the show in every way, other than the Toymaker. It was very good. But yeah, it is what it is. There's a lot of problems with a lot of stuff coming out at the moment, and I think Disney getting involved in this hasn't done the show any favours, and they're not doing themselves any favours in the last couple of years. So there's something in the back of my mind that says the entertainment industry, as it stands at the minute, will be damn lucky to survive the next 2 or 3 years, because the audience that they're clearly targeting with everything that they're making on Disney at the moment, and now with the influence over Doctor Who and the way they're taking the show there, that's fair enough. I'm all for inclusion, but historically, any of the other shows that have put their target onto this audience that they're searching for at the moment have failed. I don't think any of them have actually properly succeeded, because the audience they're trying to get on board to watch the shows aren't interested in watching the shows. They're too interested in fighting political points. But every other show that's done it has failed miserably, and that's what I feel is going to happen with Doctor Who moving forward, and Disney as a whole at this point. So yeah, I'm just going to stick with the classic stuff. It is what it is. But if you enjoyed what they did with Doctor Who and what they're doing with Doctor Who, more power to you. Unfortunately, I can't agree with you.